He was on the phone with his parents when he vanished. They listened as he walked alone in the dark. They heard his footsteps. They heard him breathing. And then they heard him say, "Oh, shh." The line went dead. That was the last time anyone ever heard from 19-year-old Brandon Swanson. On May 14, 2008, Brandon had just finished his first year at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. That night, he went to a small get-together in Canby, Minnesota. It was normal, familiar faces, nothing unusual. Around midnight, he left to drive home to Marshall, about a 30-minute trip. At some point along the way, his car went off the road and ended up stuck in a ditch. He wasn't hurt, but he was disoriented. Instead of calling 911, Brandon called his parents. He told them he had run into a ditch near the town of Lind. He believed he knew exactly where he was. His parents, Brian and Annette Swanson, immediately got in their car to come find him, staying on the phone with him as they drove. But something wasn't right. As they searched the area Brandon described, they couldn't see his headlights. They flashed their lights, they drove up and down gravel roads. Nothing. Brandon insisted he could see the lights of a nearby town in the distance. He assumed it was Lind. It wasn't. Investigators later determined he was actually near Taunton, about 25 miles away from where he thought he was. He was completely turned around. After waiting for a while and failing to connect with his parents, Brandon decided to leave his car and walk toward the lights he saw in the distance. He thought he could meet them halfway. He stayed on the phone with them the entire time. For 47 minutes, they talked as he walked along dark rural roads and farmland in the middle of the night. It was quiet, no traffic, just open fields and gravel roads stretching into darkness. At one point, Brandon mentioned passing fences. He said he had to climb over them. He was cutting across farmland, trying to take a shortcut. His parents listened carefully, trying to track where he might be. Then, suddenly, everything changed. Brian Swanson heard his son say, "Oh, shh," and the call dropped. No scream, no crash, no sound of struggle, just silence. Brandon immediately tried calling him back. It went straight to voicemail. Brandon's parents drove frantically through the area until morning, hoping to spot him walking along the road. They never found him. When authorities became involved, they were able to ping Brandon's phone. The signal placed him near Taunton, confirming he had been mistaken about his location. Police eventually found his car abandoned in a ditch along a gravel road. There was no major damage. The doors were locked. The keys were missing. Inside, everything looked normal. Search teams combed the surrounding farmland, fields, and waterways. Volunteers joined in. Dogs tracked his scent. About a mile and a half from the car, investigators found footprints that matched Brandon's. The prints showed him walking along the road and into a field. At one point, the tracks indicated he likely slipped into the Yellow Medicine River. But the river was shallow in many places, and despite extensive searches, no body was ever recovered. Even more unsettling, search dogs later picked up his scent leading away from the river and toward a gravel road, where it suddenly stopped. No more footprints, no signs of a struggle, no blood, no clothing, no phone. It was as if he simply vanished into thin air. Over the years, several theories have emerged. One theory is that Brandon accidentally fell into the river and drowned. The "oh shh" could have been the moment he slipped. It was dark, the terrain was uneven. If he was wet and disoriented, hypothermia could have set in quickly. Another possibility is that he made it out of the river but became exhausted or confused in the darkness, eventually collapsing somewhere searchers somehow missed. There's also the unsettling thought that someone else may have encountered him on those isolated roads that night. But there has never been any evidence of foul play, no confirmed sightings, no suspects, no answers. In 2010, 2 years after his disappearance, Minnesota passed Brandon's Law, which requires law enforcement to take missing adult reports immediately without waiting 24 hours. Because when someone disappears mid-sentence, time is critical. Today, Brandon Swanson's disappearance remains one of Minnesota's most haunting unsolved cases. His parents have continued searching for answers for nearly 2 decades. They've revisited the area, worked with volunteers, pushed for awareness, refused to let his story be forgotten. Imagine being on the phone with your child, hearing their voice, hearing their footsteps in the dark, and then hearing nothing. No goodbye, no explanation, just an unfinished sentence. Somewhere in the rural farmland of western Minnesota, something happened in those final seconds. A slip, a fall, an encounter, a mistake. But until Brandon is found, the question remains, what happened after "oh, shh"? If you want to hear more stories like this, the ones that don't have easy answers, make sure you subscribe to my channel, The Hidden Case. I cover real disappearances, unsolved mysteries, and the stories that still leave investigators searching. And if you have your own theory about what happened to Brandon Swanson, let me know in the comments. This has been The Hidden Case, and I'll see you in the next mystery.